All right, everybody, welcome back. We are still looking at some right tackle stuff here today, cleaning up with some of the remaining prospects. These are some day 3 guys. These guys maybe won't even get drafted. They might be UDFAs. Maybe they won't even be that. Who knows? But once you get through the top, which is phenomenal, and then the middle, which is okay, the bottom basically doesn't exist. And there's kind of a reason why. I think that when it comes to the tackle spots, if you're not very good, you'll probably move to guard at the NFL level. So a lot of the tackles that could have been talked about in this area of our evaluation and analysis end up playing guard. And I speak about them as guards if I think they're going to end up as a guard. So there isn't as much to talk about down here, but there are a few guys that I want to run through. First guy is Garret Greenfield, South Dakota State. He's not the first South Dakota State offensive lineman that we've talked about here, so they're sending some guys, the Jackrabbits. 24 years old, 6'6", 311 pounds, so pretty decent size. 33.5-inch arms works, 9 3/4-inch hands works. The testing was kind of eye-popping. Like, the 40 time and 10-yard split were fine, but the vertical jump was like, that's like what you would see from a running back. 38.5 inches is inhuman. That's, check this guy for every steroid you have. 9.5-inch broad's also really good. 7.76 3 cones, okay. The 20-yard shuttle, not so much, but these jumps, like, there's some real athleticism in this guy's body. Despite that, of the major big boards, none of them had him getting drafted. Only one had him listed at all. The aggregate, however, has him in the top 200, barely. So they do think he will get drafted. The performance over the last couple years hasn't really been that good. It's been okay. He's allowed a total of 5 sacks, 4 hits, and 13 QB hurries. So the play isn't really matching the potential. And this is at South Dakota State, by the way. So a little bit of mixed signals here. But he was a team captain for the Jackrabbits. He was a leader for that team. He gets low when he hits. He gets low when he makes contact. He wins leverage even though he's 6'6". Good at winning leverage. He's got a nice, strong punch that he uses to take control of reps at the beginning. He's got the lateral quickness to shuffle back and forth and keep in front of edge rushers. So he's bringing a pretty decent amount to the table here. I think that he can play in space and hit moving targets, especially when you look at some of his athletic profile. Seems like he should be able to play in space. And yeah, I mean, this kind of athleticism doesn't come around all that often. You got to figure we can do something with that, right? His footwork does need to get a little bit better. I feel like his footwork when he's engaging with defenders tends to be a little bit sloppy. He doesn't latch on very well after engaging a block. Like, he'll get the initial part of the rep down fine, but then he loses the rep down the road. He doesn't hit with enough pop. Like, he does do a good job of getting low, but in terms of, like, hitting with a lot of force, it doesn't feel like it's getting transferred the way it needs to. And he's got to get a little bit stronger if he wants to make it, I think. So he's got to add some muscle. He's got the frame for it, which is nice. But the combine performance is kind of the main thing that you're hanging on to if you want this guy, because he didn't even play that well at South Dakota State. So I'd say 5th rounder. I think that the talent is worth it. Develop him over the next couple years, see what you got. Okay, so second guy, Andrew Coker of TCU, the Horned Frogs. 6'7", another slightly taller guy. 315 pounds, 34-inch arms, 9.5-inch hands. The testing was rough. He didn't score in the 30th percentile or better in any category, and he tried. He did most of the categories. His jumps in particular were really low. 10-yard split was, like, really, really just crawling there. So, not good testing. A couple big boards had him going in the 7th. The database has him going undrafted, so he's kind of right on that line. Will he go drafted? Will he not go drafted? It's kind of in the air, right? Up in the air. His numbers over the last 2 years have been serviceable for TCU. I'm not crazy impressed, but he's allowed in each of the last two seasons a total of 21 QB pressures of some kind, and his PFF grade actually regressed from 2022 to 2023. So I don't know. It's not great. We're definitely digging a little bit deeper here. There's a reason why this guy may not get drafted. He's got a lot of experience. He played a lot of football at TCU, and I think he transferred in from another school before he got to TCU, actually. If right tackle doesn't work out, he may be able to pull it off at guard if he can, work with the leverage. But you look at the way that he plays, you look at the way he does things, I think he's got a chance to work out at guard. His frame and his size he's got the frame of a better prospect than this, I'll say that much. He's also got some experience blocking in space. He didn't test well, but at TCU, they used him as a move blocker, and he did fairly well. His pass rush mirror is good as well. He can shuffle his feet to stay in front of guys. Again, didn't show up in the testing, but his mirror is pretty good. I like his hand placement. He has a good understanding of where to put his hands on the defender. And his punch is pretty effective. So, not terrible, but the bottom line is, when you see testing scores like this, it shouldn't form your whole opinion, especially when you look at the tape and you see the player doing some things that are pretty good. But the concern that I have with a guy like Coker and many other guys is how much of this translates to the pro level. Like, how is he going to be able to be a move blocker in space with these testing numbers at the pro level? Maybe he can do it, maybe he can't. But it puts doubt in your mind. Some of the issues with him would be he gets off balance frequently, kind of lunges at the waist and ends up in bad positions, kind of ends up on the ground even. His anchor is a little bit weak, doesn't lock down against bull rushes the way you would like. Poor testing numbers mean some of his mobility might not work at the next level, like I was just saying. And his technique fundamentals kind of get lost a little bit when he gets panicked. Like, when he's under a lot of stress, he might not use his feet the way he needs to. He might not slide his feet the way he needs to. He might get off of balance where he's not keeping his body above his feet, stuff like that. It's something that happens a lot. So, low ceiling prospect, not a lot that makes him interesting. I like his size. I like his potential guard flexibility. But there's a lot to work on here, and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is not much, because odds are good that his game from college will not work in the NFL because he just isn't much of an athlete. So, 7th rounder, just for the size, just for the frame. But I don't see this one likely working out. I kind of like the idea of moving him to guard, honestly. I could see that. But realistically, this is not the part of the draft where we need to be looking at right tackle anyway. If you're going to be straight honest, you're probably looking at right tackles in this draft for like a stud. Somebody who you feel like can be the long-term starter because the Abe Lucas thing didn't work out. You already have depth at the position with Fant, and you paid Fant money to be your depth. So we don't need to draft more depth there when the problem is not necessarily at the bottom, it's at the top. All right, there's going to be one more right tackle video a little bit later today, but that'll do it for this one. Let me know what you think of these two, if anything. I know they're low level. I know they're not exciting, but let me know what you think regardless. Peace out, go Hawks.